This GR Supra was crumpled up in a wreck 4 years ago, and then it sat just like this for 3 years until I finally bought it at an auction. I had zero experience in repairing crash damaged vehicles, so I figured a GR Supra was the perfect car to learn on. We completely disassembled the car down to the bare chassis, cut off all of the damaged frame, welded factory new frame pieces back on, painted it red, and then we reassembled the interior, the steering, the brakes, the suspension, the engine and transmission. We had our first start. We went for our first drive with a little bit of throttle. And that brings us to where we are today, a running and driving GR Supra that just needs a body. All we technically have to do is put this body together, take it apart, paint it, and then put it back together one final time. Now I know I just said that I need to assemble the body first, but there's a couple issues that we found during our first drive that I want to fix first. The power steering and the headlights I bought used, so they are coded to a different vehicle. So a couple days ago, I let somebody that I've never talked to in my life remote into my laptop, connect to the GR Supra, and code our headlights and our power steering rack. Let's go back in time and see how that went. Okay, here we go. He's gonna connect. Hopefully everything goes well. The guy just pulled up LimeWire. He's gonna brick my computer. Only thing I remember about LimeWire is getting viruses. Okay, he set ignition off for 30 seconds. Back on in diagnostic mode. Oh, he says he's done. Front passenger airbag. Well, apparently the one in the dash has 3 plugs and he says I missed one. Well, it's complaining about one. It's either it could be a bad wire or I just didn't plug it in. Unfortunately, it's the one at the top of the dash. It's not the bottom one, so the dash might have to come out again. He says he was able to code the SRS module either with that broken wire or that plug, but he says he might have to remote in to clear the code once I fix it, unless I can get it myself with the Autel. So I think I can remove my laptop, give everything a test, and then pay the man if everything's working. Oh yeah, power steering works 100%. Let's test our lights. Oh, I can see all the lights working. High beams, normal lights, blinkers, all of it's working. Success. We still have the airbag light, but he told us it's because the airbag's unplugged. Happy days. Happy days. Okay, coding went awesome. Shout out to Armen. Found him through a random Facebook post, messaged him on Instagram literally today, and he coded my car the same day. Super good price, super helpful. He was even showing me other modules that I didn't even ask about that were having issues. As of right now, all the modules that were having issues are just stuff that's unplugged, but I didn't even ask for that, and he still did it. Super good service. Thank you, Armen. The main concern currently is that dashboard airbag. I'm hoping that I can remove the radio controls, remove the glove box, and plug in that wire. Please, Lord, I don't want to pull this dash again. Lots of good news, a little bad news. The good news is I have the glove box off, and I can see the wires for the airbag. The bad news is all 3 plugs are plugged in, so it's not a simple plug it in and it's fixed. But the final good news is I can see the sheathing on one of the wires is ripped off, so that is where our resistance is coming from. We can tape up that wire and we should be good to go. Okay, well, I said there was some sheathing missing, and there is. The blue wires have some exposed wire. However, I just found out that the white wires are cut. So thank you, Armen, for pointing this out. I guess I should have checked my chassis harness that I bought used a little better, but we'll get these wires spliced back together, wrap them all up in some electrical tape, get it plugged back in, and Armen said he'll even reconnect, clear out those codes for us. Okay, turns out Armen didn't even need to reconnect. The warning just went away on its own. I really can't say thank you enough to Armen. That was fast, that was a good price. I was super worried that the dealership was gonna charge me so much money to do that coding, or even just tell me like, oh, nope, we can't code those, you just have to buy brand new ones. Especially because the SRS module was literally on back order, I couldn't even get one. So if you guys need any BMW coding or Toyota GR Supra coding, hit up Armen, can't recommend him enough. Now that that's done and we have no more airbag codes, let's put our interior back together. Now we had one other major issue that I would like to fix, and that is that the brakes were not performing nearly as good as they should be for when we actually want to romp on this thing. Now I'm hoping that's because the rotors are super rusty from sitting for 4 years, and in order for me to test that, I kind of just got to go drive the car and break in those brake rotors again. However, I'm not going to go drive this car and try to break in those brakes with 1, our steering wheel not being aligned, and 2, the constant dinging from our hood being off. So let's start by fixing our steering alignment. Now I bought some Vevor alignment plates to try to get this toe set a little better so that when I do drive it, we're not scrubbing our front tires and losing tread for nothing. So what you do with these alignment plates is there's little studs to space them off of the rim so that you know that they're straight. And then you have 2 tape measures, and I compared the tape measure to make sure that they are exactly the same length. And it lets you measure the distance between the front of your wheels and the back of your wheels. So if the back of your wheels are farther apart than the front, it means you have toe in. And if the back of your wheels are closer than the front, it means you have toe out. And if you look at our measurements, we have 76.25 inch gap in the back, and we have just under 76 inches in the front, meaning we are toed in nearly 0.8 degrees. And personally, I want to try to get that as close to 0 as possible, knowing that I'm going to get an alignment in the future and that this is temporary. So I'm going to jack up one side at a time, remove the wheel, remove the tie rod, screw it out 1 full turn, bolt everything back together, and then do the same thing on the other side. Well, that doesn't make sense. I turned this side, only this side, out 1 full turn, and now we're towed out. 1 turn on one side went from 0.8 degrees in to 0.8 degrees out. 75.75 in the back, 76 on the front. So 1 turn really moved it that much. So we were basically half an inch toe in, and then I moved just this side 1 rotation out, and now we're half an inch toe out. Now we don't want to move them separately, so technically I should move this side back a full turn in to get back to equal. And then if a full turn out on one side is twice as far as that we need to go, that means both sides together we need half a turn. And if we want to move them equally, it means I should move this a full turn in and then a 1/4 turn out. So basically move this 3/4 of a turn in and a 1/4 of a turn out on the other side. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, maybe I'll draw a picture for you guys. For now, let's jack this side back up, 3/4 of a turn in on this side, go to the other side and do 1/4 of a turn out and redo our measurement. Seems I went the wrong way because now it's 76 in the front and 75.75 in the back. So I did a 1/4 turn, but I did a 1/4 turn the wrong way. So now I got to go back to the other side and do half a turn the other way and remeasure. So I'll do that and I'll be right back. All right, I took an additional attempt, but we have our dead straight toe. We are at 75 7/8 on the front, 75 7/8 on the back. And with our toe in fixed, I'm going to actually take this for a quick spin and see if the steering wheel is straight while I'm driving now. If not, it might be that I need to move the steering wheel and not the wheels. So I'm gonna go double check that quick and I'll be right back. And I'm back from my little outing with the car, and we have good and bad news. Let's start with the good news. 1, it's fast still. 2, it still sounds really good. And 3, we have power steering, which made driving it 10 times better. Now, the bad news. 1, we have some fluids underneath the car. And I say fluids, plural, because there's a couple. 2, our brakes are still really squishy. And 3, I still don't have a hood, so it still dings at me. So let's jack up the car, take a look at the fluids, and maybe, just maybe, the fluids underneath the car have something to do with our squishy brake pedal. All right, good news and bad news on the fluid. Let's start with the bad news. One of the fluids underneath the car is transmission fluid, but I can actually see that it's leaking from the fill plug, but it happens to be right next to our JB weld repair. So I'm hoping that I can clean up the area, tighten that fill plug, and then that leak doesn't come back. I think that's most of the bad news. We have some iffy news. The iffy news is the other fluid is a dark, oily, I don't know what the other fluid is. It's old fluid. So it makes me think that the rear diff, I just didn't do a good job cleaning it and it dripped off and I just didn't notice it until now. That's what I'm hoping. I don't know what that fluid is. I didn't see any drips from the rear diff. I didn't see any drips from the engine oil. So we're gonna just have to leave that one for now. I'm not sure. Now, good news. Our brake pedal is still very squishy, but I think I figured out why. It happens to be I just bled the brakes wrong. Turns out the front calipers have 2 bleed nipples, one on the inside and one on the outside. I only did the one on the inside of the brake caliper, not the outside. So I think if I bleed that extra bleed nipple, we'll have a good brake pedal. Again, I'm solo out here, so I'm gonna hook up my pneumatic brake bleeder, and I'm gonna go ahead and do all 4 corners one more time, starting with the farthest corner, working my way to the front, and I'm gonna do both sides of the front caliper this time. Look at this, how did I miss this? This giant bleeder right here. I'm proud of myself for finding this. I'm also not proud of myself because I missed it when it's right here. That is our brakes bled properly. I imagine I'm not gonna have a squishy pedal anymore, and since we're actually using our front brakes, we should probably stop 3 times better. Okay, I'm finally satisfied with how the car sits, running and driving wise. We have no leaks, we have good brakes, we have power steering, we have headlights, we have taillights, we have no airbag lights. The past week of work have been refining what we already have put together and making it properly work. Now, I still desperately need an alignment, so I'm going to schedule that ASAP because both of the rear wheels are turned out, and that's why I have no traction. I floor it, both the wheels slide out, traction control saves me. With an alignment, I'll be able to romp on this thing finally, with good brakes, good steering, and a good alignment. So let's finally start assembling this body to make sure all of the body gaps are good, so we can take it apart and paint it. I think we should start with the back of the car, so let's go get our rear bumper on. Now, the rear hatch. All right, let's talk about a lesson that I've learned from this GR Supra. And I've learned this lesson 5 times over now. Never assemble your interior first, because turns out I gotta take the headliner off in order to bolt the hinges on for the rear hatch. Lesson learned, okay? You do not repeat my mistakes. Assemble the interior last. That'll give me enough access there to reach the bolt holes. Not with an impact though. Everything's always a little bit more fun when you're solo. Okay, now the hope is that I can latch this like that, and that puts the hatch exactly where it needs to be. So when it's latched, I want this body line and this body line and it to flow smoothly. So that's how I'll know whether I need to raise the back up or down. Yeah, basically right where it sits. So let me tighten down the hinges, because those are where I want them. Okay, hinges are tight. That body line's good, and good, and good, and good. So now, the hinges are where we need them, and this back line is where we need them. So we just need to tighten these bolts down. So we need to raise it up without moving the hinges. And then now that everything's tight, does everything still line up? Seems that when I tightened it down, this side moved up a little bit. Okay, I moved it a little too far out that time. Okay, perfect. Bumper's installed, bumper lines look good, hatch is installed, hatch looks good. And I'm pretty happy with how the rear bumper and the hatch are turning out. When I take off the hatch, I'll be marking where the bolts go so that I know next time I can just bolt it right in. Don't got to worry about scratching anything. Now we already put the doors and the side skirts on, so that moves us all the way up to the fenders. Now we have 5 bolts holding each of these fenders on, and these brackets were actually on before the wreck. They are not brand new, so they're a little bent. So we might have to put this on and off a couple times to get everything to line up. Okay, this fender is on good enough, I think. The door opens and closes without hitting it, so I have it about as close as it's gonna get without the door hitting. If I look at the body lines, it seems like it flows nicely. So the brackets are tight where they should be. Now we gotta go do the other side. The other side is almost the same thing. There is one huge difference with this side's fender than the other one. This side has our windshield washer fluid reservoir, so you got to bolt that in first, and then the fender goes over the top. All right, I actually did this side way better. Turns out the reason why the door was hitting, unless there was such a big gap, is because I had my fender too far in. So if I go move that other side out, I can move it closer, close up that gap a little bit. Now that I'm happy with this body line, I can take the fender off and install our washer fluid reservoir. I needed to make sure that this body line was good first because this bracket, the bolt is behind the washer reservoir. So I wouldn't be able to adjust this bracket with the washer reservoir on. Washer reservoir installed. As soon as this bracket's tight, it won't wiggle. Now we can reinstall our fender. This car doesn't make sense. There's a bolt for the fender behind the washer reservoir. Am I supposed to install this after the fender? You're telling me that I install the fender. So I install the fender, and you're telling me I'm gonna get this washer reservoir installed behind it. Well, gosh dang, I guess that is how you do it. Well, gee whiz. See, this is why we assemble the car before we paint. We have to learn all of these things, so that way we know how to put the car together later, and we minimize the chance of scratching the car. The last thing I want to do, spend a whole bunch of time painting it, and then immediately scratch it. So we get all the brackets where they need to be, mark them out, so we can bolt them in next time, don't have to play with it, and then we know how to assemble it, so we're not doing it 10 times trying to figure it out like we are right now. So now we know the order of assembly is the door, the fender, the washer reservoir, and then the side skirt. Now let's go ahead, take our washer reservoir out, because apparently we don't need this right now. All right, happy with this side, except for obviously we'll adjust this side when we get the hood on. I'm gonna quickly off camera fix the other side fender and apply what we learned here. The fender needs to come out and then it can come farther in, close up that body gap and still not hit the door. All right, I'm happy with the fenders. Let's move forward to the front bumper. I just have to put this bracket on, one on each side for the corners of the bumper, and then the bumper just slides right into place. And now with our bumper slid into place but not bolted on, we can bolt on our hood hinges and put our hood on with the help of my lovely wife. Since my wife is in here helping us, obviously Cam is here too, giving us some moral support, so you might hear him screaming in the background. Okay, been a couple days. Cam started throwing a little bit of a fit, so me and the wife did not get the hood lined up. But I got John, the good old bodywork magician, coming. He's gonna help me line up the fenders, the hood, the front bumper, and then we'll be ready to take everything apart. It has been days of getting this body in a spot where I'm happy with it. I measured every body gap to be around 5 millimeters, which I think is probably on the big end of what's acceptable. But again, for someone who's never, ever done anything bodywork related, it's consistent and I'm happy with it. I mean, really, if I wanted to, I could put the rear glass on the hatch and bolt everything down and I'd have an assembled GR Supra. And if I was happy with it being multiple colors, I could call this quits. But we want one solid color. The front bumper is not bolted in, so that's why the bumper and hood gap is so inconsistent, but I can hold it in the right place and the holes line up. So of course I'll bolt it down for the final assembly. Bumper and hood are not fully assembled. There's vents in the hood, there's grills in the front bumper. This is just to make sure that the body gaps are good and all of the brackets are where we need them to be. Some of the brackets I'll need to take off to paint them. Like this silver fender came with one of the brackets, so it's also silver. So I marked out where this fender goes with Sharpie, and I'll take it off and paint it, and then it's marked out and it'll bolt right back into its home. The hood hinges are black, they need to be red, so I also marked out where those hood hinges go so I can bolt them back into place as well. I tried to mark the rear hatch hinges so I know where those go. Long story short, everything is good enough for me, so it's time to start disassembling the car, get everything on the racks, and start our paint prep. Okay, we are running out of room to put parts on stands. So I'm gonna move the Chevelle out into my garage, move the Supra back to where the Chevelle is, clean up and organize these parts a little bit, and I'll be right back. Okay, reorganization complete. Chevelle's out of the way, Supra out of the way, it's next to the door, so if I need to move it, I can. And then all the parts are where I normally work, much more room, much more organized. Last two major components to take off the car for paint is the doors. However, I wanna take the door panel off and the side mirrors off while it's hanging on the door, so it's easier to work on. Once the door panel and the side mirrors are off, we just unbolt the door and carry this 100-pound thing over to the rack. I'm having a couple realizations. One, I'm not going to be able to paint all of the body parts in one go. My paint booth is just not big enough. Apparently when you take the hood, the hatch, the doors, the bumper, when you take all that off and you put it on racks and spread it out so you have room to paint, it takes up way more room than one car. Who would have thought? So we're gonna have to paint this in 2 goes. We're gonna have to paint the doors, the hood, the hatch, assemble that, and then paint the bumpers, the fenders, the side skirts, and assemble those. So not exactly what I wanted, but that's just how it goes when you're working in an inflatable paint booth. Another big realization that I'm having is this is going to take a lot of time. Usually I try to work on the car for 2 weeks, edit for a week, and upload it. I feel like that gives you guys enough content to watch for one video. However, we're already 2 weeks into working on the car and I still have to edit, and there's probably another month worth of work to do on the car to finish it. So if I were to try to make this one giant video, it would be another 2 months before you guys saw it. So we're gonna have to just break it up into more episodes. So I'm not trying to like get more content out of the Supra. I was hoping to have it done in this video, but obviously that was a very tall order. I did not know how much work was left on this thing. So we're gonna have to break it out into smaller episodes. It's just not the super big grand finale video that I wanted. And that's okay, plans change. I didn't know how much that I had left to do, and now I'm starting to see it. But we got a lot done in this video. I mean, we fixed the steering, the brakes, the headlights, the SRS modules programmed. We fixed one of our airbag wires. We have no airbag light. So we fixed a lot of stuff from our first drive, and then we completely assembled the body. We got all the body gaps good. We're ready for that final assembly once everything is painted. I want one more thing from you guys. I want you guys to go to ShawnzeyRacing.com, check out the shirts, let me know which one is your favorite. I want to know what shirt designs are the best so that I can continue to make better shirts. I have an idea for the next build shirt already. I'm excited to introduce that build. We just got to get this Supra done first. But on that note, I appreciate each and every single one of you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.